the reason I'm not dead or in jail or an alcoholic or any of that, I can attribute back to that epiphany that I had at 14 years old that told me that this is how I'm going to lead my life. Where I got that, no idea. Introspection, I heard you say, self-awareness is a big thing. It's funny how many of the things that I preach about from a business perspective, how is it that you can operate a business and what do you have to do as an owner? And I yell and scream about introspection and self-awareness. There's also an unemotional part about it. People are too emotional when making decisions. But those things, knowing yourself very well, in order to make the decisions that need to be made to help you manage the day-to-day business or even get a business going off the ground, is very important. I think that's what I heard you say relative to that first kind of step onto the camouflaged bridge is a self-awareness and an introspection on what you want to do.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I have a very strong business background. I've worked for a family printing business for a number of years. I've sold into a large number of multinational companies. I've actually done 3 different startups, the last of which is very successful. It's called Huso Sound Therapy. So I have a very unique business perspective. And unfortunately, what fear does is it makes us make bad decisions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you very accurately talked about, when we have emotions, we let our emotions get into decision making. That's going to really affect our decision making and the best decision. So many people, what fear does is it creates a lot of anger, and then if we make decisions from anger or quick reactions, they're just not going to be good decisions. And so when we start to have self-awareness and we step back and see why we're doing things we do, and we're willing to work on that, and then we hold off on our decisions and kind of let it just filter into us, whether that's sleeping on it or just asking God for help in terms of what's the best decision here. What's the best decision for me? What's the best decision for my team? What's the best decision for the company? And what's the best decision for everybody around me? You'll be given that answer, and you will make exponentially more better decisions than you made from the reactionary standpoint before.
Yeah, I another quick background story that I think goes right along with this, and you'll find this interesting. When I had an epiphany when I was 14 years old, I got rolled by 4 guys at a mall here, and I lived in Portland, Oregon at the time, and they put it to me pretty good. This is the mid-1980s. I have blood all down my front. They rolled me underneath of a bus stop and left me there. I wake up a couple hours later. I get on a bus to go home, and I pass out at the transfer point, and then I back down to another bus, and now I have a 2-mile walk home, and there's nobody at home for me, right? I am by myself, and my nose was broken. They had separated my nose. I got this little nub right here on my nose now, and I was standing there. I could take you to the exact spot. And I was standing there, and I was holding my nose, and I'm blood down my front, and both eyes are black at this point. And I remember thinking, and I've said this before, I don't know if it was Jiminy Cricket, my conscience, it was God, it was Buddha, it was somebody outside of my body, outside of my right side, behind my right ear, said to me, you're on your own. No one's going to help you. Every decision you make is your responsibility going forward. Anything that you do is on you. Anything that happens to you is on you. It's your responsibility. So if somebody somewhere does something that affects you, that you have no idea happened, it's your fault. And I took that. I took that literally. And in response to your statement earlier, the reason I'm not dead or in jail or an alcoholic or any of that, I can attribute back to that epiphany that I had at 14 years old that told me that this is how I'm going to lead my life. Where I got that, no idea. Where that information, a 14-year-old would have the wherewithal to come up with that kind of determination, I have no idea. There was nobody in my life that was feeding me good advice. I just had it, and I listened to it, and I spent the next 3 days holding my nose shut until it quit opening, until it quit separating. That's the way we went to the doctor when I was a kid. But again, I live that my whole entire life. I live that to today. Everything is my fault, and it really removes the emotional side I found out of decision-making, because I don't hate you for something you did.
Yeah, I mean, when you were talking, I'm like, oh my God, you've got amazing resilience. I mean, that's like, and most people who have been traumatized in some way like our experiences, we're very courageous. We have amazing resilience, and that breeds such ability to, such strength and ability to help others from those experiences, like what I'm doing with the book and what you're doing with the podcast, and just being able to, have people say, okay, I'm actually capable of this. I'm
Yeah.
capable of healing from sexual abuse. I'm capable of coming back from, a childhood where my parents weren't involved at all. And obviously you were like the far extreme of that. And so, then people can see, okay, I can do this, and I would say that you were, it's like a guardian angel that basically said that to you, because at that time in your life, nobody was going to be there for you, and you had to do it on your own, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so, and I wouldn't say I don't personally. I don't like the words like it's your fault. Like, hey, you're on your own. You have the strength to do this, and and you're going to be okay. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that sounds to me like what you came out of that with.
Well, I'd come out. I agree with you in the context of a childhood. When you're a kid and you have no control, it's not your fault, right? It's just not. Things that happen to people are not their fault, particularly when they're kids. But as adults, so often people want to pass on that responsibility to somebody else. The boss screwed me. The nephew screwed me. My mother screwed me.
Well,
My dad something.
yeah, that's
It's
yeah,
in that
that's exactly what
context.
I meant.
Yeah,
Basically, you're responsible for your life. Okay, and that's
correct.
what goes back to like when your beliefs create your reality. Like I said earlier, Buddha said you with your thoughts you create the world. So when realize, and I've got a lot of stuff in the book about victimhood,
Okay.
and so there's a lot of good quotes from like Helen Keller and a lot of people on victimhood. And so victimhood, being a victim, saying, you're to blame for my problems, or this group's to blame, or whatever, or looking for self-esteem through people pitying you is really very, it's powerlessness. We have to take our power back from being a victim and say, wow, I am responsible for my life, and I want to live it in the highest ideals that I can.